Hello friends, we are going to start a new lecture series on history of English literature. History of English literature means we will discuss the history of an British literature, means a literature which is produced into the Britain. That literature we will discuss into the history of English literature, and we will see the history of a Britain's literature. We have in our English literature we have an American English literature, Indian English literature means those literature which is produced in India and in mostly into the English language. Those literature is known as an Indian English literature. And American English literature means a literature which is produced in America and which is written into the English, that is known as an American English literature. When we discussed about a literature means, you know that literature means any writing, any written or any written thing that is known as a literature. But when we discuss about the history of an English literature means particularly we will know about a language, means how the means we will discuss about a literature means how the literature was started. So we will discuss about the history of an English literature. In our history of English literature, we have a different kinds of periods. Like in our nation's history, means in our India, we have a Harappa period, we have a Mughal period, Maratha period. So, like that, in our history of English literature, we have also some different kinds of periods or some important periods. So, let's first we will discuss about the periods of an history of an English literature. So, the first and important period was Old English period. The time period of Old English period is 450 to 1066. This is the first period which is known as an Anglo-Saxon period also. In this period, we will come across to the Fman, Cinewulf, Alfred. These are the important writers in the Old English period. The second period is Middle English period. The time period of the Middle English period is 1066 to 1500. In this period, we will come across to the Chaucer, and we will learn or we will study about the age of Chaucer's also. During this period, the Govian literature is very important, pagan literature is very important. So in the Middle English period, we will discuss about the Govian literature. Sir Govian and Green Knight, these are the important work. This is the important work in the Middle English period. Next period is known as a Renaissance period. In the Renaissance period, we will study about the Elizabethan age, Jacobean age, Cavalian age, and Commonwealth period. In the Elizabethan period or Elizabethan age, the Elizabethan age time period is 1558 to 1601. In this period, we will come across to the Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, Philip Sidney, Francis Bacon, Christopher Marlowe, and other university wits. Into the Jacobean period, we will discuss about the city comedy, Mask, Ben Jonson's important plays like The Alchemist, Sejanus, The Silent Women, the Fox. So these are the important works we will discuss into the Renaissance period, and especially into the Jacobean period. Then we know that the Commonwealth period, 1648 to 1660, this period is known as a Commonwealth period. Okay, in the Renaissance period, after the Jacobean period, we will discuss other John Milton and John Milton's literary important works. Then the next important period is Restoration period. Now, what is the Restoration period? Restoration period means restored literature. Restored literature. When we discuss about the Restoration period, we will come across to the John Dryden and John Bunyan. These are the two important writers into the Restoration period. John Dryden wrote in very important works like Absalom and Achitophel, All for Love, and he also wrote the satires like Macflecknoe. John Bunyan wrote an important work, that is Pilgrim's Progress. And in the Restoration period, we will discuss about the Restoration comedy. There is a new genre of comedy, that is Restoration comedy. So in the Restoration period, we will discuss about the Restoration comedy also, which is also known as a comedy of manners. Next period is known as a classical period. The time period of classical period is 1700 to 1745. This period is also known as an Augustan period also. The period's name is on to the Saint Augustine. Okay, in the classical period, the Alexander Pope, Dr. Samuel Johnson, these are the important writers. Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock. This is the very important work which is published into the classical period. The next important work is period is neoclassical period, which is neoclassical period. In the neoclassical period, we have a four wheels. We have a four wheels of novels. Samuel Richardson, Daniel Defoe, Smollett Learns, and Lawrence Sterne, and Henry Fielding. These are the important novelists. These are the important writers we will study into the neoclassical period. Next period is known as a romantic period. The time period of the romantic period is 1798 to 1832. With the publication of the lyrical ballad, in 1798, the new kind of poetry or new kind of literature emerged. That literature is known as a romantic literature, romantic period. William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, these are the two writers who contributed into the lyrical ballad. When we discussed about the lyrical ballad, we will discuss about the preface of lyrical ballad. Okay, so into the romantic period, we have S.T. Coleridge, William Wordsworth, P.B. Shelley, Jane Austen, Lord Byron, Thomas De Quincey, John Keats, P.B. Shelley. These are the important writers we will study into the romantic period. The next important period in our British literature, that is Victorian period. Into the Victorian period, we will come across to the Charles Dickens, William Makepeace Thackeray, and other important novelists. Means we can say that this is the period. Means Victorian period is known as a golden era for novels. Next important period is modern period. The time period of modern period is 1901 to 1945. In this modern period, we will come across to the T.S. Eliot, Virginia Woolf, T.S. Eliot, Virginia Woolf, George Bernard Shaw, G.B. Shaw. These are the important writers into the modern period. Next period is known as a postmodern period, means 1945 to 1970. This period is known as a postmodern period. Into the postmodern period, we have a absurdism, existentialism. This kind of new terms came into our literature. New literature came, that is existentialism. Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett was a prominent figure into the postmodern literature. So we will discuss this, or we will discuss the existentialism, absurdism, metafiction into the postmodern literature, and a literature which is produced from 1970 to present, that is known as a contemporary period or contemporary literature. Okay, so into the contemporary literature, we will discuss about the Seamus Heaney, Arundhati Roy. Seamus Heaney won the Nobel Prize for translating the Beowulf. Okay, so we will discuss these all periods and all important works or important historical events and all the authors we will discuss into this lecture series. Into the upcoming video, we will discuss about the Anglo-Saxon period. We will discuss the pagan literature. We will discuss the how the Anglo-Saxon and Jutes became the ruler of the Britain. We will discuss about how the Codman, Cinewolf, and Alfred started to write their own literature. And we will also discuss about the story of a Codman, means how he became a poet. And we will also discuss how the Christianity come into the Britain. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.